Boom, we are live. Welcome everybody to the Bunzl Sales Nation podcast. Before I introduce my guest today, Laura VanVoorhis, I want to talk about our topic, which is going to be excellence in customer service. And you might be asking yourself, why are we talking about customer service when this is a sales podcast? Well, most importantly, sales and our customer have a link to customer service. They are the gap that bridges between us and the customer. So it's important that we talk about them, especially in the environment that we have today, coming out of the pandemic and all. I mean, if you look around you today, if you've been in a restaurant recently, if you've been on the phone, let's say to Amazon, or, having to deal with artificial intelligence on the phone, how poorly that has been. And also walking into your favorite coffee house in the morning and not being greeted the way you were prior to the pandemic. I think this has a lot to do with customer service, customers, and sales. So hopefully I'll be able to point all that out by introducing my guest, my colleague, Laura VanVoorhis. She is a vice president of McHugh Corporation, one of our Bunzl entities we acquired a few years ago. And Laura's been with the company almost 2 years now. September will be about 2 years for Laura. So welcome, Laura. How are you doing today?
Thank you. Good. Very good. Nice to be here.
Good. Did I miss anything in that real short monologue? I mean, do you feel that customer service may be lacking today, prior to the pandemic?
Yeah, I think for us too, that are on the phones with customer service, sometimes even during the pandemic, it might have been the only conversation that you had with another person that day. So they could be calling up and working from home, isolated by themselves, and that's the only experience they're going to have throughout the day. So I think there are many reasons why customer service is important, but especially during the pandemic, just to build these relationships with your customer is very important.
Yeah, I think we lost that personal touch, especially, look at today, 3 years ago, Zoom or any type of these virtual meetings were really not being used. And we were still doing conference calls on phones, right? And today it's more, interactive. It's more of a hybrid situation where, you're interacting with customers. Of course, customer service has always been that way. We're talking on the phone, but I think it's changed because a lot of the service you see today is being more advanced into the future than I think our customers want it to be. So that's the way I see it too. Now, just to be fair, so people understand, your organization, McHugh, is an organization, a company we acquired, and I'm going to read verbatim what it says on your website. You guys you guys create safety solutions that keep people safe where they work, shop, and play. And for the audience, I would say, jotting down, when you go into, let's say, a supermarket parking lot, there are guardrails, rails, there are cart corrals, there are those little crash bollards, the little cement or metal pylons that are there that I tend to back into sometimes. I'm in the parking lot. And then outdoor signage, right? That's pretty much what you guys do?
Yeah, those are the most common, I would think, like everyday people would see. We do a lot with warehouse safety too, for forklift safety and pedestrian safety inside your warehouses.
Right. What would you say, given the calls that you listen into on customer service, might be one of the biggest issues that you see on your side?
I think now with the pandemic, it's really about shipping and supply chain. When is it going to get there? Has it got there? Is it lost? It's taking more time. So a lot of our customers are installing for grocery stores or these big retail box stores. So their schedule is based on when they receive our product. So I think right now that's one of the largest issues we have coming in.
So yeah, I think on our side too, on the Bunzl side, we have different entities. As you know, we have the grocery, stores, we have food processors, we have the food service, which has been a major concern over the last couple of years. And coming off that pandemic, especially in the food service area where we've had experienced issues, is with supply chain. With the customer service end of it, R3 has a lot their own customer service staff too. And the biggest issues that they have been running into has been, when is it going to be here? You told me it was a week ago. Now it's 3 weeks. Now it's 4 weeks. And that's where this is important that, and we talked about this during the workshop, and I'll tell the audience about the workshop in a few minutes, is that we in sales, I'm in sales, you sold, and you've been in sales before, you know, there's a relationship between you and the customer. Where the customer service representative, you know, where my heart goes out to people who are in customer service, because they're kind of caught in between that, right? You know, what a salesperson said it was a Monday, now you're saying it's Friday, you know, what's the truth? And so I think one of the biggest issues that we have in customer service, and, you know, if I'm wrong, let me know, is bridging that gap and also showing some empathy toward that customer, where it doesn't really happen a lot. Not that our reps do that. I'm just saying that in the industry that I've experienced, whenever I have an issue with something on the phone, I don't get that love like, you know, you should. You agree?
I absolutely agree. For me personally, I use an oil company that is probably a little bit pricier, but their customer service, I call them, they come out within an hour if I have a problem. And just the way they treat me, they're always very friendly and personable. So for me, that's a value add. And that's something I try to bring to my team too, because retention of a customer adds directly to your company's profitability and is a lot cheaper than gaining new customers.
Yeah, expand on that, because that was an interesting point we made during the workshop.
So for me, I do have a finance background, so I'm always intrigued by the stats, but I did read in an article that it costs a company 7 times more to acquire new customers than it does to retain their loyal customers. So when you're thinking about profitability and sales, that's a pretty large number.
That is a huge number. When you look at also the stat I had down here, that 89% of customers state that they will leave your company if there is a lack of empathy on your part. And this is a good point, because that's why your finance major comes into play here, is that we talk about return on investment all the time. And with salespeople, we always explain, especially the counter workshop to the excellence in customer service workshop that we teach, is the dimensions in professional selling. And we always ask seasoned sales professionals on the call in the workshop, we go, what's less expensive to do to bring on new customers or to develop business with the customers you have today? And some of them get caught on, well, you know, new customers are new, inviting, they're innovative. That's all true. But to your point, because the customer's already set up, we're already going there, we have business there, we don't need to, you know, do all the back scene stuff, although new customers are extremely important, right? But it says something, especially on a return on investment, is go out and just grow more business with the current customer you have. The flip side of customer service is keep the customers that you have. Keep the customers you have. So to be fair to the audience also, just recently, back in 2019, after I came out of a Dimensions of Professional Selling workshop, which I was teaching with my colleagues, we had HR came in and said, hey, listen, you know, we're having such really good success with Dimensions of Professional Selling. We don't have something like that for our customer service people, because we feel that they are an extension of your group. And would you want to work with Karu and develop an excellence in customer service program? And I was the first one to raise my hand. So absolutely, because we need to coexist in that. You just came out of that a few weeks ago. I think it was about a month ago that we finished a course, and you were in that course. What was your takeaway on that course?
I think for me as a customer service leader, I think it's important. One of my goals I always give my team every year is, how can we better ourselves and what can we learn this year? So for me, I wanted to take the course because, again, as a leader, I won't push anything to my team that I haven't done first. So I wanted to take the course, and then we have already signed up 2 of our direct customer service reps for the next course.
Good.
My manager came, she was on this course with me. So for us, both of us realized, hey, we went over a lot of things we use every day, but even though we're seasoned professionals, there's still stuff to learn and stuff you are like, oh, I forgot about that. Because you may not use every single one of these concepts every day. But if you forget about those actually might be something to help improve processes across the board every day. Whether it's dealing with your customers, like direct customers, or I also see our sales team as our customer because we're supporting them in the sales that they have out there with their customer.
Those are great points, and especially the interface that you do and the bridge gap between the customer, the sales group, and the organization is so critical. And I love the fact that, you wanted to test drive the program. So, with your recommendations to bring on more people, and that's what it's all about. One of the important things that we realized when developing this course, Karoo, plug to Karoo, they're great. They're a good organization. They're innovative. They're into brand, new progressive ideas about how the industry is developing. Especially this course was created during the pandemic, right about the pandemic, and we were able to get the course together 3 months after we were tasked with the job to do it. And we wanted to get it out right away because a lot of our customer service reps, after they took the first course, which was the pilot, came back and said, we love it. I've been here 15 years, 18 years, 5 years, 2 months, never have had a formal training course that mirrored the sales force. Now we know what sales goes through on a daily basis. So we're not the only ones. And then when sales understands that we have something for customer service, they realize that now they have something they get, a technique, a strategy, and method to incorporate with their customer. You and I talked this morning about one of the takeaways that you had also was with the concept called LAIR, LAER, and that is listening. It's an acronym for listening, acknowledging, exploring, responding. And you thought that the most important part in there was maybe the acknowledge step, that portion, because we blow by that a lot in customer service. And the customer has a real issue. The reason I called here today is I'm missing product on my load. I'm very upset. And sometimes we respond by saying to the customer, let me have your name and your invoice number, versus stopping and pausing and going, wow, I'm so sorry that happened to you. That must have really affected your day. Tell me more about it. The acknowledge step. That's the empathy part. And we talked about empathy, right?
Right. I feel this is one of the most important things because I think it can skew the customer's view on our whole company, whether they come back, whether they continue to do business with us, or they put a negative review out there to all their friends. I think I don't know the exact stat, but I know when you have a negative experience, you're more likely to share it with other people or your family, your circle of friends, colleagues, than if you have a positive experience. So just listening to people, and sometimes a customer will call and that's all they need, just to know that they've been heard.
Right.
And you're fixing the problem. But just being heard is, I would say, like 90% of the battle.
I couldn't agree more. And it's funny you talking about statistics. I was looking at one right here. I pulled some down this morning, some current ones. 89% of people, I think I mentioned it earlier, was that they will leave your organization for lack of empathy. They feel they're not being paid attention to. The impact it has on a customer is so profound because they're listening to you. They're going, I'm getting lip service here. They didn't even understand what my problem was. The other thing is that customers will spend, another statistic, a satisfied customer will pay 17% more for an item or buy more from you, even though it may be more expensive, because of the experience they had with you on the phone. And again, going back to your finance major, you know how the ROI is on that, what that translates into. The problem we have a lot of the times in customer service, just speaking, on customer services, what they have to deal with on a day-to-day basis, is that we hear and see almost the same scenario every day: shortage, product needs to be picked up, damaged items, a substitute, all the things that fall into place. Where's my load? The driver was rude to me, whatever it is. We tend to fall into this mode of, our biases, our previous experience, our thoughts and our own feelings come into play. We called that the odds are theory. Remember that? Where, what is it? 66% of the time when a customer tells us about their problem, their issue, concern, we always fall into the mode of, well, I've done this before. I know how to solve the problem. And that's not always the case. So we talk about this in the workshop. We can have breakout sessions where we paint the scenario and we ask you to come up with a little bit more, digging deep on the situation, because not every customer, and I want to say most every other customer, is going to be different than the one that you see in front of you. So that's important to keep that open mind. We talked also in the workshop about a concept, and it was called the moments of truth. And this is where I really, the passion of what I speak about with customer service is that the whole concept that Jan Carlson came up with. He used to be the CEO of Scandinavian Airlines. He said that every aspect of his company, whether it's a ticket agent, the people that are on the plane, the people that are, taking your suitcases on and off the plane, those are all touch points in your organization. And how we translate that into that Bunzl course that we teach, Excellence Customer Service, is that we define that as customer service, our warehouse, our drivers, and our salespeople are all ones that interact with the customer almost every day. Procurement and possibly, maybe ARs, accounts receivables, might deal with them, but they're still touch points. Mm-hmm. And I always have heard customer or salespeople come back to me and say, listen, I lost this account or got a black eye because somebody in customer service may have said something wrong. They were just trying to be helpful, but maybe they said something wrong. The customer was in a bad mood that day, or the driver came in and he just kind of tossed my product over to the side. Those are all touch points. So I guess the question I have is, you feel that to be the truth too? I mean, the touch points that we have in our organization, they're all important.
Absolutely. I think, not only to the customer outside of our company looking in, like obviously customer service is your face of your company, but I always stress to my team that everyone else in the company too is kind of our customers. So the relationship you build with sales, the warehouse, all those relationships help benefit you to be a better customer sales person, right? Because all of them are, if you have a great relationship with someone in the warehouse, they're going to do a little extra for you when it comes to, a need that you have for a customer, especially if it's like an urgent need. So I think it's just relationship building in general is great across the board for customer service.
Yeah. And I love that you said customer relationships and building that, because we spent a lot of time, as you know, in that workshop on how to build a solid relation with the customer. And it's basically, we talk about making sure that when you are talking with that customer, that you create an interdependent relationship with them, mm-hmm. versus a subordinate one where, you're doing all the talking, you're instructing, you're narrating how this should be because I have all the experience and you don't, and I know how to, the substitution item is going to work for you. A lot of times customers want to feel confident in you. They want to make sure whatever you promise to them that day is going to happen. Not always does that always happen, but it does. But they want to build that trust, build on, credibility, trust. And the things that go along with that is that you need to build rapport with the customer right from the get-go. I asked a question during the workshop, and I think this is an important question. When do you as a customer service agent, turn on, when you answer that phone, when does it come on? Because a lot of times the customer can sense in your voice what tone is going to be set. Mm-hmm. Do you agree with that?
100%. We always talk about that. Smile, even through the phone calls, smile when you answer, because that will come across to your customers. If you're having a bad day and you're angry, that comes across to your customers. just having a positive attitude, joking around, making them feel comfortable. And I think you also brought up another point right before this that I wanted to talk about quickly is reassuring the customer. So even if you don't have a solution, being specific and calling them back and saying, okay, in 20 minutes, I will call you back. I'm not sure of this answer, but in 20 minutes, you'll hear from me. So kind of setting expectations that you're going to follow up and actually follow up and be there for them.
Yeah, that is another pet peeve that I have on the phone a lot of times. I mean, I'm sure you've been in the situation too. You've got an issue, they're working through it with you, and all of a sudden they go, you know what, I need to put you on hold. And you go, no, don't put me on hold. You're going to put, 3 hours later, come back and put me in this chasm. I don't know where I'm going to be at. And we talk about that in the course also.
Well, I was going to say that was one of my favorite parts about the workshop. I kind of made a joke because everyone that was in my breakout group is on the phones every day and I'm not. So when we did the recordings, I was like, I don't know how I'm going to do on this. But it was a great exercise just to hear other people and then give feedback and interact with each other. And I felt like some people had no confidence and a couple of those people did the best job. So it was just interesting to give them the feedback and help build up their confidence and help everyone improve. But I really like that part of the workshop.
Yeah, it's a lot of times we talked about what you referred to as narration. And whenever, somebody goes, I'm going to put you on hold, be back, you're going, whoa, wait, something's wrong here. And, I need to find out the issue. But we talk in depth about making sure that you let the customer know, hey, I'm going to put you on hold for about 3 minutes. I'll be back with you in 3 minutes because I need to go out to the warehouse and talk to my warehouse supervisor to make sure that product that we, shorted you on will be there tomorrow, but I will be back in 3 minutes. And when you come back, tell them what you need to tell them, right? Give them the confidence, hey, it's not there, but it will be in an hour after, the deadline tomorrow. We'll get it out to you by a truck. We'll make sure it's there and I'll call you back to make sure. As long as you narrate to the customer what's going on, that's the professionalism that it takes on. And when we were doing the tape recordings for the audience sake, is that they can understand that we put you guys in breakout rooms and you're actually having a mock call and how to handle that. And we'll spend, the day, a couple hours explaining about how important it is to acknowledge a customer. Sometimes even then we forget to do that. And we point that out and say, oh, you're right. I forgot to acknowledge the customer because the empathy part is so important. And empathy, as I define it, the definition of that is just, putting yourself in the customer's position, their own shoes, not in your odds are, but in the customer's odds are. And a lot of times we tend to do that, and we need to make sure that we always are customer centric on these phone calls. So I think it's critical. It's important to do that. The other topics we talked about in the workshop, which I found very interesting, were the different behaviors that the customers have. And they're like the power person or the actualization person, and the affiliation buyer or customer, and also your security customer. These are people, once you learn their behaviors, I won't go into that in depth because it's just the audience will have to hear later. We'll go into in depth some other time on that topic. But the person that you deal with on the phone and customer service agents, if they've been doing this a bit, will understand very quickly. Oh, this person might be grouchy, so I need to take it in a different direction. I need to listen more, let them sound off on me, or this person really is into detail. So I better make sure that my explanation has the detail in it. So once you recognize those behaviors, it helps out. And I think that was one of the things that we had a lot of responses from the comments and the evaluations we got, was that portion of it, going through the customer's behaviors, really helped out because it really kind of gave you that discipline you need when you talk to those type of customers. Every customer is different. And that's, sometimes we forget that. We don't want to lump them all together. What did I miss? Anything that we talked about? Oh, this is what I wanted to ask you. What got you into customer service in the first place? Because with your history of being finance and inside sales and retail sales, what drew you to the customer service side?
I think for me, I like to be well-rounded. So yes, I've done a little inside sales, finance. I think I was too outgoing for finance. I was like, okay, my personality is a little more bubbly than finance. So I think by trait, I'm a problem solver. So customer service kind of fit when I was talking to my manager, who is also one of my mentors. When him and I were talking about it, I'm like, this is a good fit for me, because this is what I am driven by chaos, and I love to problem solve. So customer service to me is a perfect fit, and I can talk to anyone. So I'll go out there and talk to anyone. And I do want people to have a positive experience with the company so that we can grow the company and see the profitability, because the number side of me sees all of that too.
Yeah, good. A very good point. I like that. Your one of your titles, when I was doing I was checking your page there, it said something about customer success. You don't hear that every day, right?
Yes, that's what we use at McHugh, customer success team.
Explain that to me. Because I want the audience to hear this.
For me, I think customer success is about bringing excellence to customer service. So as a team, we're successful. We're not just here to serve people and be a worker bee. We're here to make the customer experience successful and to retain customers and even help increase sales for the company.
Yeah, absolutely. We don't sell customer service. We sell the customer experience, and that's all based on success. And we talked about that because that was one of the key concepts that the Moments of Truth brought out. The story about Jan Carlson is that every customer you deal with will have one of three different areas. They'll either have a positive experience with your customer, a neutral experience with you, or a negative experience with you. Mm-hmm. And I always, I chuckled when I heard the neutral experience. It's just like saying, I was wondering back in my head, what's a neutral experience, right? It's like asking somebody, hey, how'd your date go last night? Oh, it was pretty neutral. You go, what? What the heck is neutral?
Is that good?
Is that good or is that bad? So the point is that no matter how that conversation goes, Laura, right? You want to make sure you start positive, you engage the customer right away, get to the root of the problem, let them talk, you listen. And at the very end, when you feel that you've asked enough exploratory questions, meaning, did we dig deep enough to say, hey, are we going to solve your problem? Close with something positive and leave them in a positive manner. Did everything I did to you today help you to solve your problem? Yes or no? And if it's a no, then we, dig a little deeper. If it's yes, well, thank you for your business. And we don't say that enough. And I think we do a very good job at Bunzl and the entities that we have here with Bunzl. I think the great team, just listening to phone calls and listening to some of the reviews. And when we have these courses that, it gets done, they just need something, a strategy, technique, and method to help them diffuse that customer who comes in pretty angry, pretty hot, or, how to listen better to the customer, because that's what it is based on, right?
Correct.
Yeah. Well, good. I'm glad you and I had the opportunity to talk. I do want to circle, like I told you earlier, that we'll circle the wagons a little further and we'll go into more in depth about the different areas that we talked in the workshop at some other point in time. But I do appreciate your expertise. I mean, we are so glad to have people like you within this organization because you bolster the leadership here. You're open-minded and you want to see other success. And that's what I think the true leader does, is empower people to be successful. And that's all we want to do, right? You as a leader, myself as a leader, I want to make sure that we empower people to be the very best they can. So Laura, VanVoorhis, and it's LVanVoorhis at McHugh.com, correct?
Correct.
All right. I butchered that, so I'll say it again. LVanVoorhis at McHugh.com. McHugh is MCCUE. If you have any questions or if you want any comments, you know how to get a hold of me. I'm pat.roach@bunzlusa.com. And again, thank you for your time, and hopefully we can get together again soon.
Yeah, this was great. Thanks, Pat.
You betcha. Thank you.